I'm Corbett Wall with DB Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, October the 26th, brought to you in part by Vitalix. Delivering the highest value tub for your feed dollar has been Vitalix's mission for over 30 years. The most concentrated feed at the lowest cost per head per day. Get the blue tub, go to Vitalix.com. We haven't heard anybody talk about Southern Plains Deliveries. We've only got a few days left here, but haven't heard anything about that. Of course, your spot October live cattle futures were up just 7 cents on Tuesday, but still sitting at 150, 167. Your Southern Plains market is 148. Costs about $1.50 or $2 to deliver. That sounds pretty good. I do think that the Southern Plains will probably get 150 or 151 this week, depending on how hard they dig in. The Northern Plains likely get 155. But still, until that happens, for some of these guys that have a hard time peddling their cattle, I wouldn't be surprised to see somebody tender for delivery there, because the board is reflecting the Northern Plains market, although it is supposed to depict the whole 5 area feeding regions market, or the whole country for that matter. But we have seen a big increase in open interest the last couple of trading sessions there. In fact, 14,000 new contracts of live cattle. And you think, well, how come the market's not up more? You know, really your speculators prefer a down market, and usually it's your speculators that are the new contracts come jumping in and jumping out. They don't really care anything about cattle business or anything like that. They're just looking for something that they can dominate and make go one way or the other. But they prefer a heavily hedged down market or a bear market with heavy supplies. And so then they can jump in there and dogpile that market on the short or downside, and it'll go, and then they can ride it down, and then they can ride it down oversold, and then get out and then get back in and ride it back up the other way, and then go back and forth like a seesaw. And that's what they really enjoy doing. Not saying that we don't need speculators. You have to have speculators in any kind of market that you're in, because that means that somebody will give something, at some certain point. It's kind of like traders, cattle traders. That's a dirty word. I grew up with traders. My dad was a trader. He never wanted an order, never had one, and but he would get in on there's always a hole in the market somewhere. On something, doesn't matter what it is, he would get in at any price. You just have to know what the value of everything is all the time. And you have to have a few traders in a sale barn market to keep it whole. Otherwise, you'd get into some weight or class that there was no order buyers for, and it would go to absolutely nothing. But you got to have somebody that's got a little trade in them. You have to have that in your futures market so that they will go in there and take a chance at some point. But it wouldn't totally shock me if we don't see some trade develop here, at least on Wednesday or early Thursday. If we don't see that we could see some tenders for delivery, and that will hold the board up, because that's what that is designed to do. That would hold the board up, but it's not going to do it for long, just this week, and then we lose October contract. Go out to December, we got a little bit more room to breathe there, but it wouldn't be a bad idea for people to take delivery of cattle either, especially if it held the board up a little bit, and it would take those cattle and they could put them back on feed. And I know the inputs are expensive and the feed costs are high, but we are looking at a higher fat cattle market down the line. And that's whenever you see deliveries take place, whenever you have people that will actually take the delivery. But delivery process is set up for the downside of the market for the most part. You can't demand delivery of cattle, so it doesn't ever make the board go up whenever they would force delivery there if they wanted to take possession of cattle at a lower price. But it's a little bit of a broken system, but it's pretty much all we have on our fat cattle trade anyway. The LRPs have taken a lot of the hedging off the feeder cattle market because there's such a better opportunity to gain some ground there, and people understand it a whole lot better, and it's not as risky as taking a short position on your feeder cattle futures there. But seeing the results of some pretty nice rainfall across the southern plains going into the lower Midwest over the weekend on Sunday and Monday. Talked to some guys in Oklahoma that got some really nice rain. Talked to some guys in south central Missouri that saw some really nice rain. These are very, very important, guys, and they are going to save us. You can't put a price on that. It's absolutely priceless to get that rain this time of year when we don't normally see it. We've got a little cold spurt right here, but it's going to get warm again, and we will see some wheat pasture growth, and we will see some turnouts on some wheat pasture here in a few weeks due to those rains, because we did have some nice rains through some hard red winter wheat country. Let's talk about your board for Tuesday. October live cattle futures, like I mentioned, up 7 cents at 150, 167. December was down 82, and you think, down, we're in a bull market. Yeah, well, maybe it just overdid it. You know, your board's got to jostle back and forth, or people don't really like it. December was down 82 at 153.30. Get on your back months of live cattle futures. They were all down a little, from 17 cents to 55 cents lower. They'll likely be higher here today on Wednesday. October feeder cattle were up 92 at 176.60. I'm not sure why the spot October feeder cattle are running higher. They're running away from your index values that they have to meet up with here at the end of the week. And it's unbelievable to me. Now they're $2 smooth higher than your real-time index, and your CME cash feeder cattle index is no better than that. But they're going to have to back into it here at the end of the week. November feeder cattle down 122 at 177.92. In your back months of feeder cattle futures were down $1.40 to down 182, down pretty hard, and they're just going to have a little volatility here for a while, I think. Corn was up 4 3/4 cents a bushel, ending regular trading at 6.86 1/4. Beans were up 10 at 13.82. Fat cattle trade, we really didn't see any trade develop at all. The only thing that we saw in your 5 area feeding regions that was reportable was a little bit in Iowa at 153 delivered. Well, we don't know where those cattle were sitting. We don't know what the freight costs were. Hard for us to get a handle on what the market is. The market is on the FOB or free on board cattle picked up, and that's good that we went through Tuesday and didn't see any trade. It shows that your feedlots are holding back. We know that packers are desiring cattle. Feedlots are holding back, pricing their cattle higher. Going to get another big hunk out of the market this week. We did see a pretty good fat cattle auction in Yankton, South Dakota at Stockman's Livestock there. Had over 2,000 head of fat cattle there in Yankton, and they have it week in and week out. Now, guys, it is the most active fat cattle auction that we have in a brick and mortar facility there. But talked to my friend Gary Marks there, and he gives me an update on the market. Said the conventional cattle is selling from 147 to 154. That was mostly $2 to as much as $4 higher than last week. So good market there. The drug-free or non-implanted cattle bring a little bit of a premium there, and they had those selling up to 157.75. Did have at least one major packer in there that was active and buying several loads of cattle in there and pushing around with those regional packers. Talk about your box beef cutout values, up again big on choice, and these packers have had enough of this lower market. It's got to the time where they need to gain some ground in their cutouts there to help them on their end. It's all up to them. It's not like it's a negotiated market. They put it out like a menu, and then the wholesales or end users come in there and purchase it. So they have to back up till they start getting enough people buying, and then whenever they need more for it, they can raise the price. and that's kind of what they've done is raised it. People are getting interested in buying meat. They're buying it right now for your holiday season, and so there's good demand there, and they are gaining ground. Gained $7.72 on choice cutouts this week already, just on Monday and Tuesday, guys. Choice cuts up $3.51 after being up $4.20 on Monday, but on Tuesday up $3.51 at $261.43. Selects up $1.74 at $227.35. Slaughter running at a big pace. We had a huge week of harvest last week, and we're running ahead of that this week through the first 2 days of the week anyway at 255,000. It's 1,000 more than last week, 11,000 more than the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Been talking recently about your Red River Beefmaster Performance Group and the Red River Bull Sale that's coming up this Saturday, the 29th, at Paris Livestock, which is east of Paris, Texas. It's going to be at 11 o'clock a.m. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be the one representing DV Auction and taking the online bids. You guys can tune in to dvauction.com and bid to me. I'll turn them in for you. Make sure we are where we need to be there. These are really top-notch bulls. They've been heavily culled. They've got a volume discount. If you guys can come in there and you want to buy several bulls, you will get a discount. And there's free trucking available if you guys want to do that. So be sure to get in on that Red River Bull Sale coming up this Saturday. Talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV Auction. Late in the day on Tuesday, sitting at 174.60, up 74 cents compared to the end of Monday's trade. So gained again. Had some really impressive quotes that I'm going to be giving you guys. Talk about Ozarks Regional Stockyard, West Plains, Missouri. That's one of our typically high volume sales on a Tuesday. They sell a lot of cattle in West Plains. 2,100 head through the ring, another 438 head through their in-house video that they do with help from DV Auction. The steer calves through the ring were unevenly steady, from $2 lower to $2 higher, but traded in a pretty narrow range there. Heifer calves $2 to $4 higher. Yearlings not well tested. Talk about some of your other sales. How about Beaver County Stockyards? One of my favorites there on Tuesday. Beaver County Stockyards had a good sale, over 4,000 head. Jeff Slatton, the owner and operator there, has told me that he wants to become known as the feeder cattle specialist. If he keeps this up, he is definitely going to do it. Look at these 6 loads of 8-weight yearling steers in the Southern Plains, in no man's land, Oklahoma Panhandle there, and these 6 loads of 8-weight steers bring from 179 to 183.60. Wow, your index level on an 800 smooth steer is not even 75, guys. And the cheapest ones on there, the 179, was on some mixed colored yearling steers. That is a big time quote on several loads of cattle there. He had some fancy calves, they sold well also. Talk about your Zoetis stick out sale of the day for Tuesday was Philip the Giant. Philip Livestock Auction in Philip, South Dakota. 7,500 head through the ring. Why do I call him Philip the Giant? 7,500 this week. Next week, expecting over 10,000 head. Look at your automated marker report out of Cattle Market Central, and you see your best tested weights were all in the calves again. Of course, that's what's moving up in the northern plains, but check out 666 head of 4-weight steer calves in Philip, South Dakota. They average 451 with a weighted average price of $233.98. 1,474 head of 5-weight steer calves average 557 with a weighted average price of $210.88. 1,477 head of 6-weight steers in Philip average 636 with a weighted average price of $201.83. Look at a test of heifers, and you notice that they are keeping some heifers back in that country. They're probably in better shape up there than we are in the southern plains. We're not seeing nearly as many fancy heifer calves coming through these sales as we're getting into the glut of the run as what we are the steers. So those will be kept back, but it's going to be 2.5, 3 years before we see anything out of those. But 1,308 head, 5 weight heifer calves average 543 with a weighted average price of $195.15. Give you some individual quotes. How about Dickinson, North Dakota at the West Barn at Dickinson Stockman's Livestock Exchange? 80 head, 517-pound steers at $227.50 in Dickinson, North Dakota, guys. Wow. How about Kingsville Livestock Auction in Kingsville, Missouri? One of your top sales there in Missouri. They had 217 head of 684-pound heifers from County Line Farms. They sold to go to Nebraska to feed at $180.85. Wow. But the best quote that I saw anywhere on Tuesday, your Mackerson, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Kimball Livestock Exchange in Kimball, South Dakota, was 216 steers, weighed 821 at $195.75. Woo! That's your feeder flash for Wednesday.